welcome to the Lighten Up podcast with Lauren Polly, your invitation for living on the lighter side of life. I'm Lauren Polly, and I am delighted you have chosen to join me today for episode 187, When You Have Too Many Ideas. We're going to talk about creation today, and one of my favorite aspects of creating things, organization. It is a rarely talked about superpower, at least from my perspective. I love organizing things. You may be like me in that respect. You may also kind of be like me where you have organized chaos around you. I am by no means neat and tidy, but there is a method to my madness, as I know many of you listening have the same thing. To be able to actually harness this power of organization, not just with the things to do in your life, again, helping with overwhelm, helping with this stagnation, and also helping with this thing of like, I have so many ideas, I want to move on, but I don't know where to start. So you end up not starting at all. There are certain organizational tricks, practically, but also energetically, that you can start to employ that we're going to talk about to hopefully make creation easier to start moving on. So you stop going to fantasy, if only maybe one day, mentation and daydreaming about it, but actually start taking practical action steps to have it actually actualize in your life. This is a conversation that is really born from the Blaze group that I lead, the monthly membership, where the doors are opening again at the end of this month for you to pop on if you're interested. It's kind of a fascinating thing because there are a lot of creative people who are involved in that program. And this is a conversation we have all the time of like, wow, I have so many ideas. I am pulled in so many different directions. I have so many interests and I'm enthusiastic about so many different things. But there's this missing link to actually move on them. So they all stay in my head. They all stay out in fantasy land, and nothing really seems like it's actualizing or changing in my day-to-day life. So kind of drawing on from those conversations that I've had in that group, I wanted to offer that up in this podcast. What are these different tricks that you can start to employ now to be able to organize things? First and foremost, let's just acknowledge the fact that the elements in your life have energy. The elements in your living, be it your relationships, your business, your creative pursuits, the work activities that you have, those have multiple energies as well. They all kind of have their own life force. They have their own thing about them. And a lot of you report to me constantly. This is something I hear not only in the Blaze program, but in all my workshops and one-to-one work I do too, where you feel like you're getting tugged on constantly. You feel like you got so much to do that it's like you're getting pulled in every direction. If you haven't really thought or explored this concept of the things in your life having energy, look at that for a second. When you feel like there are things tugging on you and pulling you, you start to feel a bit overwhelmed. You start to feel like, I just want to be left alone for a little while. Start to look, are the things in your life, the people, the businesses, the to-dos, the creative projects come and calling, do they actually have an energy that's wanting to engage with you? I love the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. She actually breaks this down in a very practical way. If you haven't read that book, I highly suggest it. But actually allowing the creations to be that, to be something that comes calling, that actually has an energy, a life force, and to allow it to continually to evolve that way. Most of us, when we have too many ideas, we get a bit overwhelmed because we feel like we're getting tugged on, and we don't know what the tugging is. So we're like, stop getting tugged on, and we try to shut down. When you're willing to kind of shift your perspective to the creative aspects in your life and even the practical aspects in your life, have energies that come calling, that come a tugging, especially when you're not paying attention to them, it actually gets easier to organize them. If you're looking at things as just kind of being like this flat entity in your world, and then you get surprised when you feel like you're getting pulled in a million different directions, allowing yourself to remind yourself of this. Remember, everything in my life actually has an energy. It has a life force. It's pulling at me because it wants my attention. That in of itself will actually give you a little bit of space, give you a little bit more relaxation from getting tugged on, and put you back in the creative role of, okay, cool, things are wanting my attention. Where do I need to put my focus? And that's kind of step number one, I would say, in trying to organize when you feel like you have too much ideas, too many ideas, you have too much going on, it's getting a bit overwhelming, you're getting tugged on. Remind yourself things have energy. The energy is speaking to me, it's coming to call. Awesome. Asking that question, where do I need to put my focus right now? Will give you that first step of like, okay, cool, all of you all are here, what's for right now? That is a way energetically to actually start to organize what comes into your space. When you're ignoring everything in your life, guess what? It starts to talk louder. It starts to pull stronger. So perhaps just playing with that will give you a more sense of ease and clearer vision to actually start picking the things that are more relevant, they're for right now, and therefore more fun for you, what would actually be fun to engage with. From there's some really kind of practical different ideas, and I don't know why so many people don't do this. Being able to actually write things down, getting a visual, if that assists you, actually really helps organize stuff. There's many different ways to do this. I actually play with it in a bunch of different ways. If I'm creating a new program, I have sticky notes with all the different elements on it. I have a big white paper that hangs on my wall, and I start to map it out. I start to let these elements come out on these sticky notes, and then I just start playing and rearranging them. I also have a big whiteboard that's a dry erase board to actually write in all the different elements of my living, all the things where my creative energy is going, my caring is going, and the things that I'd like to grow. So that includes all arms and aspects of my business. It includes my personal relationships. It includes my body desires, all of that stuff. And I actually allow the energies when they start to come, when they start to tug at me and I start to feel a little bit overwhelmed or stuck and I don't know where to go or pay attention to, I get it out of my head, I get it out of my body, and I actually write it down and allow that to speak. There's something in the act of getting it out of your head and down on paper, whatever kind of paper works for you. An idea journal, a whiteboard, the sticky note idea, a Word document, whatever. Whenever you're feeling pulled on, just get them down. Then revisit that board, revisit that paper, revisit that list every day. Whenever you feel that tug, what's calling? Where do I need to put my focus right now? And hey, what can I actually engage with today that would create my life moving forward right away? It's fascinating to me because there's such this energetic component to it, opening up the channel to be able to receive and engage and ultimately create with those things that are coming to call. And at the same time, super practical. Get it out of your head, get it down on paper, and allow it to actually start to talk to you that way. Again, if creations have energy, if they have a life force, if they're out hopping around and come calling to you and again pulling on you and tugging on you, then absolutely they can talk to you. And if you can get it down on paper in some way and allow the thing that needs your attention right now to draw your eyes, to pop off the page, to sparkle at you a little bit, would it be easier to actually start organizing things, organizing your daily activities to match that? Truth be told, we are in constant co-creation. We aren't the one and only thing driving the ship forward. The creations that we are pouring forth into the world, be that a business, a relationship, a book, what have you, all of that is coming through. It is an entity unto itself. You and it are co-creating it together. Where that conversation normally goes and where that's gone, at least this last week with some of the private clients I've been working with, is, oh no, then I don't have a choice. And I just bring that up and I want to add this energy in because so often when you do have too many ideas and things are pulling on you and the energy is intense and you're like a mother with 10 kids around your skirt tugging and you just want them to stop and break off of you, we go into shutdown mode very, very quickly. And then we say no to creation and we shut it out. When we go into this kind of overwhelm thing, it gets a little bit intense to deal with, right? And I think it's so fascinating to really look at where this organizational element can come into play. Where when you are having too many ideas and you're getting spinny or stuck or lost or overwhelmed where you just want to say, leave me alone and never mind, you actually can counteract that. You can go, nope, I'm not going to choose that, shut down. I'm going to open up that channel, relax, and let it come through. You also don't give up your choice because of it. Just because there is a person, there is a business, there's a creation that is knocking on your door super loud does not mean that you don't have a choice to engage. Or that you don't have the choice to organize it and be like, you know what? Physically, that person is wanting to talk right now, but that doesn't work for my schedule. We need to organize this and set a time. Just because a creation is kind of pushy and is moving its way in your space and constantly pulling at you doesn't mean that you don't have choice whether or not you bring that creation forth into the world or how it does. It is something where you are constantly, again, in co-creation with it. That co-creation includes you. And so many conversations I've had this past week have been people who are shutting down creation because they have too many ideas, they are getting overwhelmed, and they feel like they're actually losing their choice in the process. So they just kind of go, screw it, and walk away. Utilizing these organizational techniques that I'm sharing will actually take that edge off and allow you to engage with creation. You'll be able to acknowledge, yes, there's energies here that are pulling at me. And if energy is a little strange to you, just kind of tap in again, like when you are getting tugged on, it's because there's energy there that's coming to call. It's not woo-woo, it's practical. Okay, cool, that's what's happening. That will give you space. Take it out of your mind, take it out of your fantasy, take it out of that intensity that's bugging you. Get it down on paper and out. Just release it out. Allow that paper, allow that board to talk to you. Actually visit it a couple times a day. Where's my attention required here? What's ready to pop? What's for me? And follow your pops of awareness and your pops of interest and enthusiasm with that. And again, when you start to feel overwhelmed or there's too much and you feel like you're losing your choice, start to look at where you can include yourself more. Okay, cool, I'm looking at my board. There are 3 things that are popping and want my attention. If I were to include myself and how I'd like to spend my day, we never ask that question, and it's a super important one, what would I choose? So that will take that edge off of, oh, I've lost my choice here, and I'm kind of at servant to the thing that's actually asking to be created. And there are certain creations that come and certain ideas that come, and with it comes a whole lifestyle shift. Perhaps that works for you and perhaps it doesn't. But so many of us say no to creating things because we see how that kind of creation has changed people's lives around us. We see what they've chosen and it doesn't quite work for us, so we just say no carte blanche. Instead of going into negotiation, instead of going into wonderment of, cool, that's wanting to come through, there are parts of that would work and parts of it that wouldn't work for me. How can I do it in my way? How can I organize it so it comes through my way so that it works for both of us? It's never you being victim to the too many ideas. It's you being receptive to them here. You learning how to acknowledge them, how to organize them, and actually start to include yourself and how you'd like to spend your time on earth and how those things get created. Those are just kind of like pieces that you can start to play with to start to put this whole thing together. If you have a lot of ideas that have been bouncing around, different creative ideas, different business ideas, you have multiple arms in your business, or you're like me who has like a full-time job that has like 60 different tasks that I have to be aware of daily, and many people that I manage, and also my business that has tons of different arms to it, and again, tons of different people who are coming to play. It's a lot. It can feel overwhelming, but when you're willing to let that all dance in your space, and you're willing to step up to be the boss, to be the organizer, and to go, this is the way it's going to work for me, and I'm still open and receiving it all at the same time, things will get a lot easier, and creation, bringing things actually into form in this reality, will get way easier and more successful. Play with these. Let me know how they go. Again, you can always find me at laurenpolly.com and Blaze, where we have these conversations and you can ask questions and get some personal facilitation around it, not just from me, but from the group, is opening at the end of this month. The link down below to join on the wait list and connect with me in the meantime for some more ideas around this topic is down below. Have an amazing week, and as always, I will chat with you next Tuesday.